Right, morning. So welcome back to NZ Motorpark Customs. But right, the plan is for the next couple of days at least, I want to get all the welding done on this fucking thing. So I've got that hole in the front guard to fill. Yes, I want to fill that one. I want to clean these up, fix that, fill that, fix those. I want to do a final sweep around this window, clean that up. I don't know if we're trimming it out at the moment, but I want to at least go around and fill the last of the holes, grind all this up, clean it up, and at least have this ready to trim. What else do I need to do? And then do the same on this back window. I want to just go around and fill the last final holes in that, trim that up. And then I'm going to dig into this. I need body filler at the moment, so I'm going to order some of that this morning and get a couple of cans out, because obviously I need to skim this. I actually want to grind quite a bit of the crap away from around here and here. Let's have a better look at that. I want to try and get these hinges off if I can. Yeah, it should be easy enough. I want to at least pull them off and just double, triple check underneath them too. And whatever. I need to take these at some point, but I'm not too panicked just right at the minute. And then I would like to set this up and fix this shit sometime the next day I do, and get all the metalwork done. Like the bonnet is basically ready to go. I think it needs a little bit of glaze here and there. It just needs a couple of little titivates on those repairs. Yeah, I think it just needs a couple of little bits of glaze on it and whatever. So that's good. So we just need to weld those couple of patches in, like on that guard, that side, and then just titivate up around the windows. It needs to be done. Yeah, and then dig into this corner, and then at some other point need to fix that hole. I think this is solid enough. I don't think there's actually any crazy rot in there. I think it's more just it's had a bit of water lying in here and it's rotted through. We have to have a better look. Fucking light handy. Just have a wee nosy. I just actually want to have a quick tidy out with some tools and put the welding cart back together so I can just wheel the weld around. But for the little bit I've got to do with here, it's not going to be too much of an issue. I don't really have to get back up on the roof anytime shortly. We can set this back up properly for spraying later. But yeah, we need to have a bit of a clean up here and just see what's going on with these couple bits and pieces. Fuck, there's a couple of holes down there too. Is it holes or is it just leaves? Oh, it might be just leaves. But anyway, we've got a hole here, by the looks of it, and a hole here. We might have to, I have to have a better look in that, clean all that shit up, and just make sure there's no rot in those corners. Yeah. And when we start chewing this off, we'll better do the same here. Just there's fucking holes here. And just have a good, we'll crank up the ear and we'll have a good blowout in here very, very, very shortly. I might do that before I tackle anything else, just so I can clear these corners out a bit better. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to cut. We'll have a decent clean up around here. We'll get a decent Scotch Brite wheel. We'll get into this corner, just see what's going on here. We'll get this all cleaned back and freaking pull that shit off. And at least see what's going on there and see what else we got to repair apart from obviously the major hole in the cup. Because there is that's a bolt hole, that's a bolt hole. We'll just have a general look at the rest of it. We might better get away with fixing some of it, if you know what I mean. But we might have to rebuild that corner. And then we've got these other friggin' bits down here that need to look at. Might leave them till a little bit later. But yeah, I'd like to get the worst of the metalwork cleaned up, or welding metalwork, if you know what I mean. And then at some point after that, I actually want to get in here while we'll just frickin' whip round. That one's actually not bad. Might just run over that as well while we're in here. Just get rid of that foamy shit off, just so I can hammer and dolly a few little bits and pieces around. And same in here, if I can. Where's that brace? Lie. Comes down a bit here somewhere. I want to better try and even this out. There's a couple humps and hollows and shit in here. It's actually not too bad. I've hammered it down a little bit, but yeah, that needs to come down a little bit further. So anyway, throw the phone on the tripod, quickly sort out some shit here, get the welding cart back together, and then we will dig into. I might cut a couple of these front patches, get rid of them done pretty quick, and then we might come back, grind and fill these last couple of bits in these windows, and then we'll dig into that corner.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. Back a year ago.
Righty, so I got round that window cleaned up. I want to just hit it with the Rollocks disc and just knock it down a little bit further. And then obviously I got a couple of holes here, but I think by the time this comes down to where it should be, so that's black line is the inside of that frame, wherever it is, over here. So yeah, that's the inside of this. It needs to come back past that, whatever that distance is. So I'll end up cutting it to that, and then I'll make up some sort of depth gauge, and we'll run around and we'll scribe a line around it so the full depth of the window goes in, so it comes right into here. So it'll come back to about here somewhere, so that's why I haven't welded this hole up. Same with these, because this has got to come back around to here somewhere anyway, this black line, so it's got to come past that. Right, so I mixed up a little bit of, finished cleaning this up. I've spotted up a few holes, whatever, ran it all back. I've got a couple bits and pieces I've got to grind up on the inside yet. But I mixed up a bit of glass filler and spread it as far as I could. I've done some of the inside, but I've still got some grinding to do on the inside. So I've still got a little bit of put in there. You know, we've still got to do the other side yet. So done that, you know, just smeared it in really thin over this. Probably didn't really need to for these. And this, but just that is in a little bit. From where I welded it, it's sunk in a little bit. I wasn't too worried about it. It's only in a small area. You know, a little bit of filler over that is not going to hurt anything. Right. So I just had a bit more of a clean up in this corner. I haven't attacked around the window yet. Just get myself down in position here. Just kind of explain what I'm going to do. Oh, just grab a marker. So, I just lifted up some jack stands underneath. So it's had a pair of all sorts of weird patches. They go all the way up to here. So this is obviously where the join of the this body piece comes down to, and then where the floor comes into it, and then this piece obviously comes up and it's spot welded or something around in there. I'm not 100% sure, or whether it was probably, this was probably spot welded and the floor was put in, or I don't really know, but that's how it looks. So what I'm going to do for start off, I don't know how good this is around here yet, but I'm just going to cut this off down here somewhere, come along underneath this join, or about the join, just cut this off about here to start off, and down through here, and where this tucks around the corner, it's had a series of patches put down here, but I just want to actually cut down the edge of the seam, just so I've got a reference point in the meantime, and then I'll cut it off where this bottom edge is. I'm going to try and cut it around here somewhere again, so I've still got a reference point, and that hopefully will leave me obviously the inside panel in there, that so I think still okay. And then we're going to pull this cap off this corner. We're going to have to come up into here anyway and do some metal work, so we've got all this shit to deal with. But I just want to try and get this piece off, see how these pieces go together. Obviously, so this piece here, and then obviously the floor and shit. See how that, try and see how that goes together. Righty. So here's our hole in here. So I left this piece obviously because this is where the floor meets in here. So I cut obviously above and below that to give me a good reference point. Then also gives me a point to bring the panel back to. Got this weird patch in here, but it seems to be actually, well, solid-ish. We'll see when we actually get this lip off eventually. But right in here, so I'm gonna have to repair that as well. So, and this is all freaking rotten. So, yeah, it's a bit awkward actually. Well, it is and it isn't, if you know what I mean. It's just got to try and work our way from the inside out first. Right, quick update where we're at. So I've just been making this piece. So I actually cut the, well, took the bracing out from in here that was in here. It's only spot welded here and then just joined along there and joined up there. So I just cut it off. In the meantime, I can weld it back on. Now, it's very awkward to get back into join this back up. So what I'm going to do here, this piece is okay-ish. It's got a bit of a hole there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 plug welds across here, and we'll just weld that in, and then because this is meant to be underneath that, we'll just plug weld it along underneath here. We'll put some Tech screws in, and obviously we'll just join it along here, but I'm probably going to end up remaking that piece anyway. So that'll be probably the next piece I cut off, and then we'll remake that bit into the corner and we'll hold that in place. We won't start welding this until we sort of get all these bits made. But so yeah, that there, here, when we do a wee bit more metal work here, I want to do a wee bit more shaping here. But what I want to do is bring this panel here down to here, and it'll sit. And we'll try and butt weld it. If not, I might just overlap it a little bit and just seam weld it, or just overlap weld it. It's not really something I like doing, but it's kind of it's a bit of a spot to get. And when we remake this, we'll do the same. We'll do an upturn, because the piece that goes underneath, what I want to do is we'll have to drill a pile of holes in here, and hopefully we can sort of suck it up, the piece that comes into here, and plug weld that back down through along and then that edge. So we'll put a whole pile of Tech screws down there. We'll miss every second one, and we'll do every second one, weld it in, and then we'll undo all those. Try not to drop the phone. So yeah, we'll put some holes in here, and then obviously we'll have to put some holes around here to slip this other panel up, and we'll have to do the same all the way along there so we can sort of spot weld it in. So now that I've got that kind of ready, I think we'll what I'm going to do here, yeah, we'll take a couple of dimensions and we'll make that piece up, unless we get that in, and then I can like take this one out of the road and we can cut that out of the road and get that to fit. Right, so I'm getting close with this piece. I want to just tweak. Well, I had reshaped this a wee bit because you kind of had to stretch it way out through here to get it to sort of flow reasonable with down here, what's going on here. You know what I mean? But we'll have to take the body filler off this and straighten out at least this bottom couple of inches anyway on this piece before we obviously put a filler in here. We'll put a filler in here. So yeah, like obviously I'm going to rebuild in here. We'll chop, we'll remake this and cut this away up into about here somewhere. Looks like it's reasonably sound from there up. So we'll rebuild this piece here, but what I want to do, I reshape this. I had this too sharp, so yeah, I had to stretch it. So what I want to do now, I'll have to fudge this in a bit anyway with a bit of mud, but as long as we get it close. But I just want to bend this piece here a bit sharper in back towards here, so when we make the outer skin we can join it back around and it'll actually join in properly. We'll clean all this off, obviously this outer piece, because when we rebuild this we'll put an inner piece in it, and then when we build the outer skin we'll have to try and match this profile the best we can, and we'll sort of bring that into here, and we'll have to muck around with this a little bit to make it kind of work. I might better hammer and dolly this around a little bit, and then we'll just have to fill a little bit, and we'll just bring this line back in. There'll be a little bit of filler in here just to make fucking things work. It's ugly. It's an ugly piece, and it's not easy to shape because I can't really get into the shrinker stretcher in certain parts of it, if you know what I mean. I probably could grab it in here a bit more and pull it back around it to sort of get a bit more of this shape into it. I might muck around with it a little bit more and just try and get a wee bit more of this profile down into here and sort of making an imaginary line to try and at least kind of get this out here. I might do that, but you just got to try and imagine this is here, so I might even have to bring it back out here maybe. I might even have to try and stretch this around a bit more and then put a bit more of a flat in here and then kick that round. I might play with that a little bit more. That's a little bit more along the line of the profile, kind of, if you know what I mean. It's not flat, but we could probably just do a couple of little tweaks, whatever from there, but I think we'll just, I might better hammer, we might better just hammer a couple points in it, but just mud it in for the most part. It needs lifted a little bit now too. Probably actually needs a wee stretch through here just to even this out. Maybe just a wee shrink in there just to help square up. It's sort of getting a bit wonky again. The biggest problem is you shrink and stretch stuff to make it change shape one way, but you almost got to do it the other as well. But that's cool. We're getting close there. Right, come back for a bit of a last update. So we've started cutting this out. We've got this roughly made, so it fits back in over here. So obviously we got to trim. It's too high at the moment. We just cut it. We cut it a bit low just to get a rough idea where we need to be. And then what I'll do is I'll fit in the morning. We'll fit this other panel back on here, and put this panel back on here, and then we'll start fitting this to here, and we'll trim the top of this off, or we'll cut this up a bit higher, one of the two. Might go a sneak a little higher just to get rid of a bit more shit, but we need to cut a bit more of this edge away, this double, triple frickin' layer there that's not meant to be here, and then we can do a bit more profile shaping for this, and we might even just pinch this in the shrinker stretcher to get a bit of shape into this as well, just so it sort of fits in there a bit nicer, and it's actually got a, well, we'll say a bit of a gentle curve in there. We'll put a bit of shape into it once we sort of get close to fitting, and we've trimmed the worst bit away. So I think the process now is I'm watching a little quick we sort out here, just sort some tools and get rid of some shit from underneath my feet. And we'll get, I think, what we'll try and do this morning, like I got cut off there with a phone call, well, a video call, so while I was talking on the video, I had to clean up. So yeah, I think what I want to try and do this morning is see if I can get these bits all fitted, and get these couple other little bits down here. Just fucking, sit down here for a second. See if I can get these couple of other little bits, doggy bits in here repaired, and maybe try and get these bits on. Hopefully, that's my thinking this morning. If I can get that far and get this in here, instead of just get this stuff tacked in, well, yeah, it'll be tacked in place. Like even if it's 2 or 3 plugouts, I'm not worried about all of them. But even if I can get everything fitted and get these couple of other doggy little ear bits that are a bit thin fixed, and then get these in place, and then whatever. Like I'm gonna have to go along and drill some holes in here for the next panel to come up underneath, because like I won't. I might get in there to drill. Let's see, where are we, nosy? I'm just trying to see. Yeah, I can probably get in there easy enough to drill, I guess. I won't worry about that, because I've got use my drill. Yeah, I can get that in there, easy enough to bang a few holes through there, even a smaller drill bit than that. Because I have to put I ended up drilling these ones, but I really needed to drill them a bit over here. I should have made that tongue a bit wider. But I can fill these. It's not too much of a problem. Once I sort of get everything together a bit more, I can fill those holes. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll get these in place, get a few bits and pieces cleaned up. I mightn't get them in place today, but at least get these doggy bits cleaned up, get this test fitted, and even get everything prepped. We'll try and get it attached permanently. Right, I think we're about ready to weld this in. So I've made a couple of adjustments. I just took a little slither out of in there just so I can close this bottom between that piece and that piece at the bottom up a bit, just so I could pull this bottom corner in. Plug it back in there. So I could pull that bottom corner, move back a little bit, pull that bottom corner in a little bit just so it lined up a bit better with down here, and try and get that all to line up. So we're just about ready to, want to do one last little trim just at the top where the join's going to be. So I just drilled a couple of holes in there, just squirted a bit of weld through primer between those two bits of surface, and then we'll try and clamp that together somehow and then bang a couple of welds in it. But yeah, it might have to be maybe Monday now, I think. We're just running out of time. I've got to go away tomorrow for half the day at least. So yeah, and I've got to sort some shit out for that. So, but yeah, we're close. I was hoping to get this at least tacked in, and what I might, yeah, it's probably not too. It's not too much. I think like half an hour Monday, or whatever. Yeah, half an hour on Monday. I'll just zoom out a little bit. I think we'll get this prepped, maybe an hour, a little bit of trimming, and then we better start welding these pieces in. You can see that there's quite a few marks in there. I've hammered it, flattened it out a little bit, got rid of some of the worst. The high spots might have another wee go before I weld this shit in permanently, while we're just waiting on a bit of primer to dry, weld through. It's, yeah, I don't know what's happened to it. They've had a lot of body filler on there. I'm probably going to have to strip the majority of this panel, unfortunately, because there's a lot of reason why I went up so high, because I was just going to strip about that much off just to try and hammer out the worst in the bottom of it. But there's a lot of rust, surface rust, starting to creep in underneath it. So I might have to just strip this fucking whole panel, to be honest, which is a pain. We're going to have to do a lot of work here anyway, so that'll give me half a chance to strip this off and see what's going on here. I wish I had a fucking stud puller, because I'd come in here and just pull some of the worst of this shit out. Just not, I wouldn't go gung-ho, but I'd just pull it out in a few places just to level it out a little bit better, because I can't get in there to panel beat it. But if I had a stud puller, I could just bang a few studs along here and just bang it out the best I could. I can just meg a couple of nails on there and do the same sort of thing, but a stud puller would be easier. Like, that's again something else I will get at some point. You normally can work around it, but yeah, might just have to strip this off. Unfortunately, I didn't really want to have to, but I might have to. Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. That's kind of why. But I don't know how long this body filler's been on here either. Like, the modern body fillers have got better. Like, a lot of them will go direct to metal, whereas if the surface isn't prepped properly, and a lot of these older body fillers would sweat when they go off. Their chemical reaction, I don't know, used to sweat. But that's why you should really epoxy or etch. But I didn't do that on the roof for the majority of it. You get a freaking lot of people say, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, you should do this and you should do that. Well, it's like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But probably what I will do is when I strip this off, I might just give it a quick coat of etch, and then just give it a very light scuff with a bit of 80, just to fluff the surface a little bit, if you know what I mean. And then when we go to spread some mud on there, once we've done all the middle work, to even it back out again. But at least shouldn't have to have it. It's not super thick. It is, but it's not. If you know what I mean? Like, if you actually measured the height from here to here, I don't know, it's probably a 1/16. It's not horrendously thick. It looks worse when you feather it back. It's a bit of thickness on there. It probably didn't really need to be completely there. Like, these hot spots are They're not horrendously high or low, if you know what I mean. It's not pretty, but yeah, like a quick skim and just block it off. I was hoping not have to fucking dig way into this. That's kind of why sometimes you got to be careful how far you dig. And something like this, otherwise you just end up redoing the whole fucking bang. Like, that's why you should just strip everything off. In an ideal world, you should, especially on an older vehicle, like something a bit more modern, like the Ford out there, like that's a 2008. Like you're not going to have to do that if you did a quick respray or a touch up or whatever. I was just actually looking for the bit for here. So we've got this stuff reasonably sorted out, and I had that piece made for here. I'm just trying to see if I can locate it. Oh, here it is. I knew it was around here somewhere. I'll double check to see how this is fitting. I think I've got to do some more trimming, and then we'll just see whether we want to weld all this in, or at least get it tacked in, and then we'll plan this bit. Now that I've got that roughly burnt in, so this is attached now, it can't go anywhere, so is the other piece. I thought the plug was down there, this is plug welded on here. I've still got to, we've still got to join the seam fully, I've just tacked it. But what I want to do now is just have a good look at this line, maybe in hammer and dolly that up and down a little bit, But what I want to do is get a rough measure of this distance, and I'll see how long it is. See if I can maybe utilise one of those bits of scrap out of the window, out of one of those windows that I haven't cut up. So we get a piece long enough to do that, and also get a couple of little bits of scrap and just test and see if I can make that similar swage. Alright, we'll just do a little test pass. So it needs to be on the downhill side. I think this is just a test piece. Is it enough or is it not? Let's go have a look. See if that's enough. I don't know if it is. There we go. Yeah, that a little bit deeper. Like, it doesn't have to be dead perfect, but as long as it's close for what this is, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have to be 100%. Probably better. Let's have another look at that. Bring it with me. We'll just see how close this is to sort of roughly matching. Like I said, it doesn't need to be 100% perfect as long as it's close. You can't look at both sides at the same time. As long as it's within the ballpark, it's all that matters. Yeah, it's close enough for me. We could probably cut this down a little bit too. It probably doesn't need to be quite so long. Probably even trim it down to 20. We added about an inch, which is 20, close to 25 more. Let's chop it back a little bit from that. I think I should do here. I'm thinking about this. This is where it's going to get funny on that other side. Right. Oh, anyway, we'll measure that out on the big piece and we'll see if we can make this work.
I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're causing them wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're causing them wrong. So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. sky on your mind. Flying, get on board. We're soaring on top of the world. Flying, get on board. We're soaring on top of the world.
Yeah, sorry, I had a phone call there mid-video when we were mucking around with this, just laying everything out. So we're getting close to getting the pieces sort of shaped up and roughed up to fit. We'll get a bit of a gap here. We can jiggle stuff a little. We get a little bit. I've just trimmed shit down a little bit. And obviously we just banged a couple of tick screws in it. So I can move this over a little bit to fill that gap, or I can just fill it full of weld. That's not going to matter too much. So I'm reasonably happy with the rough fitment of this stuff. I think we're pretty good. It's gonna look a little weird here. It's just with shaping that and then running the bead in it before we obviously bent it. It kind of is what it is, but we can fudge it a little bit once we got this welded on and cleaned up and dialed up. And obviously we're gonna have to put some body filler in here. I would actually like to straighten this panel out a little bit. I put a bit of curve in it. I'd probably get a little bit much down that far end. So I can flatten that off a little before we obviously weld everything together. But we can come along here and we can fudge this line and straighten it up a little bit. As long as it's close, it's not going to matter. And what we'll end up doing is probably joining it down here somewhere. We'll just cut straight through, obviously, to the inner panel and whatever. And we'll just cut this through, and then we can join this down on top of that and whatever, and make it all work. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. So we just got a couple of tick screws. So basically we'll just cut through roughly where the tick screw holes are. So as we go through, we'll just have to build a little bit of weld where those tick screw holes end up being. So what I want to do now is work out what I'm going to do with this far end to kind of match what that is. So what I may do is, I'm just thinking, I might lay a pile of tape on that, take some measurements off here where it needs to be, and we might make a rough, I'm trying to think what I do. I might lay a pile of tape on there so we can get it off in one bit, lay some tape on the back side, and then I can bring it here and flip it over and just see how big a difference there is between side to side. Like, there's probably not much I can do about it, but as long as it's within ballpark and we can get a rough idea where this line finishes, I know kinda, but you know what I mean, like how close it gets to the wheel arch before it stops, because we've got a few bits we cut off. We can put a bit of a line into a new piece. We can sort of mark it, sit it there, and we can run the line into there a little bit to mimic where it stops, sort of type thing. But I just want to try and get that shape of the panel going down into where it hooks down, and then obviously work out what other materials I need to, and where the wheel arch lines and shit, where all that all fits. Righty, here's a rough tape pattern we got off the other side. So this here is obviously the seam between the lower and upper. That's our bottom of our swage, which I'll put it in there. This is a rough idea where that panel starts to roll out. And this is obviously the first mark of the wheel arch, second one, and this is the inner piece where this would kick around at 90 or thereabouts. So I don't need a lot of this out here. So I've just put a rough mark down here. I'm just going to chop this off for the most part. We'll bring it back to about here, because what we're going to do is I've got plenty of material. This is roughly where it stops. So I just run the bead roll into there. So I had to gave me a guide of where it lined up, if you know what I mean. And also you can line these pieces up with the guard, because it actually fits reasonably well at this point. Well, we've got a bit more shaping to do. I want to go my long end here and hammer and dolly this out. So actually, I want to, what I would like to do, and I talked about this before, I'd like to set this up for tipping. So I'd actually like to stick this on Dad's lathe and just sharpen it up a little bit, and because I don't really need this, and then see if I can get a bit like a nylon wheel, or even an old skateboard wheel or something like that, one of the old big wide ones, and see if I can make it fit this to use as a tipping die. It's quite handy. It's by hand. Like, it would be ideal if I could fit it on both, but this is a smaller shaft, because it's a set of crimpers for doing like flues and stuff where you shrink it all in. But yeah, it would be handy to have it on that. And I could use, at the end of the day, like, they're cutting steel, so you could actually trim something really fine with them. But I'm just going to shorten this up and get rid of a wee bit of excess material. At some point I'll cut this off as well, a bit closer to where it needs to be. I just want to trim this off and then see if I can get this, so I can flatten a couple of these marks out a little bit and get a bit more shape in this. It's where it needs to be a bit more of a swoop into here, and just keep test fitting it on the body, and then eventually we'll cut this down a bit too. That needs to be cut down to about here somewhere. Actually, I was actually pretty close with the tape where I needed to be, but I just run it up a bit further. And so it needs to be back down about here somewhere to fit the other side. Righty, so we're kind of getting there. So I'd like to trim this back too at some point, just get it back a bit better. But yeah, I think what I'll do is I might even go to that sharper cutting wheel die on the other one, and just see if I can get this a bit crisper. But it's going to work for the most part, if you know what I mean. And then I need to work out what I'm going to do here to try and make this fit into here. Biggest problem is it's because I've got such a little edge here, it kind of wants to fight you. But I can probably, once I get it close, I can probably hammer it around. Yeah, it keeps slipping around on me, but we're in that ballpark. I just would like to trim this off so I can see. I need to mark this little bit here a bit more clearly with a marker, just so I know roughly where that's meant to be every time I put it on. And then we can slowly trim this back to fit, and yeah, and then try and work out this bit here, work that in. Right, just a quick wee update. So I've trimmed this back. I've screwed this back on. I actually want to straighten this. I want to cut this back. I want to trim it to where it roughly needs to be. And then I'd actually like to stretch this a little bit through here. Just it's got a bit of a bulge in it now. We'll play with that a little bit, so we can stretch this a little bit, so it'll just flatten this off, so it sort of lines up a bit better with this. You know, once we sort of get this trimmed off a bit further, we can sit in a little bit further and whatever. But we're getting really close. This is fitting pretty good. This is virtually right on that cut. It's a touch overlapped, if you know what I mean. So yeah, we'll probably flatten this off a little bit. Might put the flat wheel back in the English wheel and just run it through a couple of times just to flatten this off a touch. It's probably not too bad, to be honest, but it just might flatten it off through, you know, the last, I don't know, third of it, whatever, just so this lines up a bit better. But yeah, I think we're within freaking striking distance now, so that's cool. We're getting close with this piece, and obviously then we can, once we get it dialed in, like these last little pieces, I was half tempted to just maybe frickin' find a couple old nails and make up a rough slide hammer that I can just zap on with a couple of decent tacks with a MIG, and just see if I can maybe just pull the worst of this up a little bit, just so it's not quite so fugly, and just tap it around a little. I'm not too panicked, if you know what I mean, but I might just, if I can tack a couple of nails in here and just see if I can pull it out a little bit. what we're up to. So I've got this inner piece in, which once I've got this tack between here and here, I can bend it back, and just the way this is profiled, it's right angle, but it flips into about the right position. And worst comes to worst, we can just put a wee nick in it here and here just to bend it in where it needs to be. It's just going to come in and just basically be where this lip is, which we've got to eventually grind off, ready for doing the bottom piece. But yeah, we're just about ready to put this piece on. I'll just put the silver paint on the inside of it, just mainly here, but I've just flipped it into it, and we'll start tacking it in, and yeah, we'll just slowly push it in as we come in to get it to pull the right shape, and then we might have to hammer and dolly a little bit up here. I'm not sure. I'll ground this back a bit, and I'm not sure if there's lead in there or not. I'll soon find out when I weigh. I should have had to ground it back quite a bit. I think there still might be a bit of lead in there. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I need to get that piece off too. It's in the road still. I thought that'd come off, but yeah, we'll trim that off, and at least then we can start tacking that piece in. I've just punched a few holes in the end piece. You can actually see it there. If I zoom in over there, now I can zoom over there if I change the way the camera works. So yeah, punched a few holes in the end of it. So yeah, we can plug weld that down there, and yeah, start attaching it along here. And we might have to just trim this back a little bit further. And once we sort of get that one, I would say at least, I don't know, a good dozen tacks along here and here, and at least a couple of plug welds in here, so it can't go anywhere. Then we'll start trimming and fitting the next section, and we'll just keep carrying on like that and try and keep everything all lined up. But we know it should fit, so it's just a matter of just trimming and fitting and trimming and fitting and getting it all tacked in place. Alrighty, oh, that's all tacked in, ready for a full weld. And I think I'll fully weld it once we get the bottom piece built. I might blaze in a few more tacks in between, but I think for the most part, at this point, that's pretty much where it's going to be. I'm pretty happy with that. The profile's pretty good, all directions. It's got reasonable shape. I don't think it's out anywhere too far. Worst comes to worst, we can hammer it around a little bit if we have to. We'll go with hammer and dolly and whatever. We might knock out the welds a little bit of the tacks on the inside of it. Just hammer and dolly it around a little bit. But I think that's pretty good. We'll have to give a good feel. It's got some humps and lumps and bumps in here, which is a bit dived in the actual panel, so we might try and straighten it out a little bit and bring it into line with the rest of it. But I think in the next video we'll start rebuilding this bottom piece, but I think that'll do for now. So thanks you guys for watching, and yeah, we'll try and get the next one to you as soon as we can. I'm just not sure how long it's going to take, just not sure what's happening with maybe this new job Monday. You know, we got a bit of pieces going on, so if that goes ahead it'll be a bit slower for a while, but yeah, we'll just see what happens, and we'll just start rebuilding this bottom piece bit by bit every now and again, and we'll try and get a video up to you. But that's kind of why I've left this here at this point. It's all tacked in, needs a wee bit of hammer and dolly work, and then we can build the bottom corner, and then we'll fully weld everything once we've got everything all tacked, just in case we have to move anything a little bit. But I think it's pretty good at this point. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later on.